How's it going, guys? So we are nearing the end of the offseason, and I want to review the winners and losers of this offseason. Now, these rankings are just my opinion, and they're not in order. Anyway, let's get into the winners and losers of the 2020 the 2021 MLB offseason. Alright, so the first team that I'm going to break down, and in many people's minds, the winners of this offseason are the San Diego Padres. So where to begin with these guys? Last season, they finally made the playoffs and actually had the second best record in the National League. While they did lose to the World Series bound Los Angeles Dodgers, they had a great season to build upon. They were already projected to be one of the better teams in the National League before their offseason began. And man, their offseason was crazy. They completely revamped their rotation and added a few nice pieces as well. So their crazy offseason began after Christmas when they made a stunning trade with the Tampa Bay Rays for 2018 Cy Young winner Blake Snell. This was a stunning trade considering that the Rays had just reached the World Series. While Snell has not replicated his 2018 success, he still has been at all-star level, as last season he had a 3.24 earned run average and 63 strikeouts. Now, what has made the Padres able to trade for stars is because of their farm system. In this trade, they gave up Luis Patino, Cole Wilcox, Blake Hunt, and Francisco Mejia. In my opinion, the Rays actually got a nice return from the Padres, but all these prospects were blocked at the major league level, so it didn't hurt the Friars that much. Just a day later, they made another stunning trade acquiring Cubs ace Yu Darvish for many low-level prospects. And in January, they acquired Pirates ace Joe Musgrove for a package of prospects. They completely revamped their rotation as they added 3 studs to an already great rotation. These 3 go along with Dinelson Loma and Chris Paddock. This is a crazy good rotation and maybe the best in baseball. Not to mention that they re-signed utility man Jurickson Profar, Korean star Ha-Seong Kim, relievers Mark Melancon and Keone Kela, and they added Victor Caratini in the Darvish trade. This was a great offseason for a team that also has Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado. While they did lose many good prospects, their farm system is still one of the best in baseball, and they retained top prospects Mackenzie Gore and Robert Hassell III. My only concern is that Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove have all had injury concerns in their past. Not to mention they hardly lost any key players this offseason. Overall, this offseason gets an A+ grade by me. Alright, so this team was one of the biggest losers of the offseason. They lost many of their key players in a division that was easily up for grabs. This team is the Cincinnati Reds. This offseason they lost Cy Young winner Trevor Bauer to the Dodgers, reliever Archie Bradley to the Phillies, starter Anthony DeSclafani to the Giants, shortstop Freddie Galvis to the Orioles, and closer Raisel Iglesias to the Angels. In return, their only notable addition was reliever Sean Doolittle. So this wasn't the worst offseason a team has had, as Bauer and Iglesias were the only big-name players they lost. What made them one of the losers of this offseason was their inability to go big in a barren division. This was a team that had been making big moves to win even during the season. After the season was over, they kind of just rolled over and gave in. Their division consists of the Cardinals, Brewers, Cubs, and the Pirates. The only team that made big moves were the Cardinals, who added all-star third baseman Nolan Arenado. This was a division that was up for grabs this offseason. Also, the Reds struggled with hitting last year, as evidenced by them not scoring a single run in the wildcard round against the Braves. Their best offseason addition that they made was claiming 24-year-old Davey Grullon off waivers. And Grullon isn't a terrible addition, but he projects more as a backup catcher who has no pop. And hey, maybe that could have a very good season, but as of now, many sports outlets project them to finish behind the Cardinals, Cubs, Brewers, and only finishing ahead of the Pirates. So another team that is a winner this offseason and vaulted themselves as favored to win their division is the Chicago White Sox. Going into this offseason, they were already a team that was poised to get better because of their key players entering their primes. While doing nothing may have been suitable, they added 2 key players that are some of the best at their respective positions. The White Sox went into this offseason with only 3 needs, and that was a closer, starting pitcher, and a right fielder. Well, they went into the offseason and did all of that. First off, they traded for Texas Rangers ace Lance Lynn, and they did not break the bank as they only gave up 2 prospects. Lynn was a stud last season as he had a 3.32 earned run average and a 1.36 ERA plus. Lynn has been a solid rotation piece all of his career, and I expect him to be really good with the White Sox next season. Next, they added right fielder Adam Eaton. While he is no longer the player he once was, bringing back the veteran outfielder is a good signing. Whilst he struggled in the shortened 2020 campaign, in 2019 he had a solid season with a 1.5 WAR as the Nationals went on to win the World Series. If Eaton can stay healthy, then this is a very good move by the White Sox. And the White Sox were not done yet as they signed closer Liam Hendriks to a record contract for a reliever. The White Sox bullpen was already really good, but they needed a clutch closer. Last season was great for Hendriks as he had a 1.78 earned run average, 14 saves, and 37 strikeouts in only 25 innings. Re-signing starter Carlos Rodon and utility man Larry Garcia were good moves as well. With the Indians trading Francisco Lindor and the Twins not doing much, I think the White Sox are favorites to win the division and possibly the American League. While they did not do much, the White Sox certainly delivered. So the Cleveland baseball team are losers in my mind for 2 reasons. First, they traded a franchise player, and other teams in their division got better. The baseball team went into the offseason after coming off a tough division race with the Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. At the start of the offseason, they lost first baseman Carlos Santana, reliever Adam Simber, and they declined closer Brad Hand's option instead of giving him a reasonable $10.5 million option. Then in January, they traded franchise shortstop Francisco Lindor and reliable starting pitcher Carlos Carrasco to the New York Mets in exchange for Andres Gimenez, Ahmed Rosario, Josh Wolf, and Isaiah Green. While the return that they received was not horrible, it did not seem right to trade Lindor, considering how low their payroll was already. Now they did add and retain a few key pieces in Roberto Perez, Cesar Hernandez, and Eddie Rosario. Like the Reds, my disappointment with Cleveland is that they could have done so much, yet they chose not to. And they still do have a good team with Shane Bieber, Zach Plesac, and Franmil Reyes. It's just that they have the ability to do more, which is a common trait you will find for losers of this offseason. They went from contending for a division title to projected 3rd or 4th place finish in the American League Central when they traded Lindor. There's already been discussions that Cleveland is possibly considering trading their best player in Jose Ramirez, but overall those rumors have been shut down. Overall, I'm disappointed that the Indians are one of the teams trying to cut costs when they could do so much more. Another team that I think won the offseason is the Washington Nationals. Now, the Braves, Phillies, Marlins, and Mets all had stellar off-seasons, and some had an off-season better than the Nationals. This will be a very interesting division race as every team is good enough to make the playoffs. The Nationals made several moves I think went very well. On Christmas Eve, they made a trade to acquire Pittsburgh's first baseman, Josh Bell, in exchange for pitching prospects Will Crowe and Eddie Yean. Now, Bell is an interesting player as he has had his ups and downs of his career. In 2019, he had 37 home runs and went to the All-Star game. In 2020, Bell only hit .226. Now, there's a decent chance that Bell might just be a mediocre player, but his value is down and they did not give up much. Not to mention that if he does well, he is an MVP caliber bat. And in January, they made another high-risk, high-reward move when they signed Kyle Schwarber. Like Bell, Schwarber has had his ups and downs, but if he succeeds, it will be a move that will definitely help the Nationals. They capped off the offseason by signing a lockdown closer in Brad Hand. Hand had just come off a season in which he had a .205 earned run average and 16 saves. While those were the marquee moves, they also made some good signings in John Lester, Luis Avilan, and Alex Avila. Those additions were very good when you take into account that they hardly lost anyone of note. Now, this is a high-risk, high-reward offseason for the Nationals, as all the players they signed have more risk than usual, but if this pays off, this could vault them near the top of their division. Only time will tell, but by getting Bell, Schwarber, and Hand, this definitely makes them winners in my book. And the last team that I will be discussing today is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, while the Padres and Giants both had good off seasons, the Dodgers still should finish ahead of the Padres next season. While other teams made many moves by filling up many needs, the Dodgers only made a few. Their marquee move of the offseason was by signing 2020 Cy Young Award winner Trevor Bauer to a 3-year, $102 million contract. Bauer has had a strange career of sorts, as he had some mediocre seasons and some Cy Young caliber seasons. Regardless, the Dodgers know what they were doing, especially with their pitching development. If they are willing to dish out a huge contract to Bauer, then they know what they are doing. By adding Bauer, they now have a rotation of Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Bauer, David Price, and a combination of Dustin May, Julio Urias, and Tony Gonsolin. While the other moves that they make were not as significant, they still are beneficial. Earlier this offseason, they added relievers Corey Knebel and Tommy Kahnle. Both have been all-star level relievers in their career, but both have struggled recently. Once they sign Kahnle, they know that they probably won't see him play till 2022, but Knebel should slot in their bullpen right away. The Dodgers were also very smart to re-sign reliever Blake Treinen and Justin Turner. With the Turner contract, they were able to add one of the best free agents on the market. Now, they did lose some key free agents in Jake McGee, Alex Wood, Pedro Baez, Enrique Hernandez, and Jock Peterson. Now, especially losing Peterson and Hernandez does hurt, but what makes the Dodgers so great is that they have so much depth, and these players can easily be replaced. The Dodgers don't usually splurge on top free agents a lot during the offseason, so as a Dodger fan, it was really cool to see them sign Bauer. If you guys have enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe and tell me what you think of the signings in the comment section below.